Firstly, I think the department's position is a sensible one. I do not think that we can afford to lose this academic year. I don't think students can afford to lose this academic year. I don't think universities can afford to lose this academic year. And I don't think that parents want this academic year lost for their loved ones. So I think it's a sensible approach to take. And I think we should do everything possible to ensure that we do not lose this academic year. In that regard, I think that we've begun to define two principles by which we try and ensure that we do not lose the academic year. First is the principle that no student in the higher education system, whether rich or poor, whether black or white, whatever their diversity, must lose this academic year. They all must be given a fair chance to complete this academic year. And so socioeconomic disadvantage, spatial disadvantage must not prevent somebody from being given a fair opportunity to complete the year. So that's the first principle. The second is that we must recognize that there is a difference in capacities and circumstances, both between institutions and among students within institutions. And that means we have to be cognizant of this diversity, and we need to make sure that we allow each of these institutions to operate in the time most suitable to them.
We condemn the institutions, wanting to force continuing with the academic program without having ensured that, all systems are in check and every student will be covered by the process of online learning. Students want to save the academic program just as much as universities want to save the academic program. But I think our responsibility as SRCs and as student leaders across the country is to ensure that we raise issues that affect students. The first issue that we raised was the fact that there are students that hit to the core of moving outside residences. And unfortunately, these students are in various communities, be it townships, rural areas, and some even in suburbs. And this already sets an unequal pace for the continuation of the academic program because there are issues, socioeconomic issues. Secondly, we raised the issue of devices to say not everyone is privy to access to a device. And thirdly, we just raised the issues of international students to say there are international students that have went across the borders, and there must be conversations that are taken up with regards to this. So the university in its response then provided devices, 5,000 of them. It provided 30 gig worth of data to kickstart the academic program. But ours was then to say there is what we are noting from the institutions that commenced on Monday is that there is a rush that we do not understand, because we raised these issues on Friday, and then many of these network providers came to the party only on the Sunday just before the commencement of the academic program. And we said there is that rush that we do not understand without having ensured that all devices have been delivered. As I speak to you, not all the 5,000 devices have already been delivered to students. Some students have not yet received those devices. They are texting us, they're emailing us.
Our analysis suggests at Wits that those without a device is in the region of 10 to 15%. Our analysis shows that those people, how did we come to that number? Is because when people register, we expect them to sign up and we ask them a whole series of questions about their living circumstances, their socioeconomic status, the kinds of devices that they have access to, etc. And so we have some idea that between 10 and 15% of our students, we believe lower now, have some challenges around device. The second challenge is, even if you have device, you got a problem of connectivity, because you may not have the resources for having the kind of data bundles that allow you to fully participate in the learning process. And so each of the institutions took a month contract where effectively we've provided 30 gigs of data, 10 anytime, 20 in the evening for students, so that they can access the learning process. What about connectivity? With regards to connectivity, we did two things. The first, we effectively got our URLs, our website and related bit sites, 0 rated, as did many other universities. But even when we did that, there were still challenges. Because if you look at Zoom is not on the Wits website. So if you're teaching a lecture via Zoom or Microsoft Teams, you're still going to need data to access them. What that did is we then began to explore the possibility of an arrangement with the telcos. Initially, those negotiations took place. There's been a continuous set of engagements with the SRC, largely through the office of the Dean of Students. There's a regular meeting. He's kept them appraised of our thinking, of why we're thinking in the way we're doing, why we're making the decisions we do. We hear their suggestions, their concerns, and we have effectively tried to address their concerns. So our decision to go to a computer loan facility or to go to data didn't just emerge because we are clever higher education executives. That as we've been thinking this through, we've had people, students and others, student leaders, SRC and amongst others, who said, here's our problem, this is the problem, this is that. And each time that interaction happened, we went away trying to address those concerns in some form or the other. So yes, there's been a continuous engagement. I want to be clear, consultation is not handing over management to them. This university is managed by a higher education executive, which is stewarded by a council. That is to whom the Higher Education Act and the University Act has given authority. We don't give up our authority to manage to a stakeholder. We engage in consultation. We listen to their concerns. We try and address that. That's what we do. And that's what we have done.
The university's approach of saying that it has consulted SRCs, whereas it has briefed SRCs on measures that are going to be taken, is something that we must call out against. We have, in our last meeting, just before we released our statement and we went public to say we are against the continuation of the academic program, we had a meeting with the Dean of Student Affairs, and of course we have been engaged and we have been actively involved in conversations that seek to ensure that the academic program commences meaningfully for all students. But on the last occasion that we met with the Dean of Students, we said to the Dean of Students, these are the issues that we are raising. And unfortunately, the Dean of Students and the university then said, tough, we are continuing on Monday, whether you like it or not. And that is what we saw happen. So there is a difference between the picture that is being drawn by the university to say there has been constructive engagements and the SRC has agreed, whereas they are not raising the issues that we've called out against, because the university has a tendency to glorify artificial versus progressiveness and without raising some of the concerns that we in fact raise with them. We are worried about the quality of the degrees that we will be producing in 2020. And it is something that as a sector and as the Department of Higher Education and Universities, we must have a conversation about. So if you can reasonably continue online and there's a student that can't reasonably continue online, must also ask questions about the kind of degree and the quality of the degrees that we will be getting in 2020. So it's not only about those students that can't continue, and the debate must also be about the quality of the learning that we'll get online, and to the quality of the academics that we will get online in 2020. And it's a worry, and it's something we must be open to having a conversation about. This is a national crisis, and just as the government has been trying to ease the anxiety, must all work together to support each other as students. Must ensure that although some students in Sentin and Rosebank and the like can reasonably continue without any hassles to online learning, there must also be a consideration of the fact that there are students that are not continuing. Whilst we are getting our degrees, there are students that will not get their degrees because of this, and it's something that we must call out against.
Our interest, frankly, is the 95 to 90% of our 97% of our students who are at universities to learn. They're here to learn, they're here to graduate, and they're here to move on to contribute to our society and our economy and to assist their families and community. And we're going to move out of our way to assist those 97% to deliver.